Maybe, if you're feeling a little dangerous. Joining us on the program right now from the Virginia Shooting Sports Association, Dave Adams, the Legislative Affairs Director. Dave, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Cam?
Excellent. Thanks for coming on the program tonight.
No problem.
All right, the Virginia session is underway, right?
Yes, the circus is in town.
And it's going to be a busy year. We'll talk about some of the other bills, but you were in the pages of the paper down in Roanoke talking about repealing Virginia's handgun rationing law, the one gun per month law in Virginia.
Correct.
All right, how long has this law been on the books? It's been here, I know, since before I moved to the state.
Almost 20 years, 1993.
All right, and this was put in place during Governor Wilder's term, is that right?
Correct.
And as I understand it, the idea was that if Virginia and Maryland passed one gun a month, then Washington, D.C.'s violent crime rate was going to drop, supposedly.
Yeah, in fact, they were saying that Virginia guns were making their way to New York, too. So it was, the same old story that we keep hearing from Bloomberg and his lackeys now. But, yeah, that was supposed to be the way it was. But amazingly, we still hear that our guns are ending up there. That's why we need to stop private sales at gun shows.
Yeah, it's shocking. Meanwhile, Virginia enjoys a violent crime rate far lower than that of the District of Columbia or Maryland or even New York City. So it's weird how that happens. The state with supposedly the really horrible gun laws enjoys a very low violent crime rate.
Yes, that is the way it usually works out. Amazing, huh?
So is this part of the argument as to why this law needs to go?
Well, that's part of it. But the other part is, as you probably remember, in 2004, the General Assembly passed an exemption for concealed carry permit holders that they could buy as many handguns in 30 days as they wished. And they said the reason for that was because you get a, quote, enhanced background check when you apply for and receive a concealed carry permit. Our argument is that you should not make non-permit holders second-class citizens for whatever reason. Someone may wish not to apply for and carry a concealed handgun, so why shouldn't they be able to purchase more than one handgun in a 30-day period if they so desire?
And what's the counter argument to this? That somehow this requirement of only one gun purchase per month is somehow, are they still relying on this 20-year-old argument that it's somehow stopping bad guys from getting a hold of guns?
Well, it was really interesting. The Counterpoint article that ran at the same time that mine did on Sunday was run by Dana Sherrod with I think she's the executive director of the Virginia Chiefs of Police Association.
Yeah. And
she, in my article, I had pointed out there is no empirical evidence to show that the law has had its intended, has worked as it was intended. And she said, well, you can't really quantify how many people have been stopped from making a straw purchase, so you can't really say that there's no evidence because it's kind of hard to quantify that. And that's the best she could do.
That's the best you could do is, well, we really don't know. Can't really tell you.
Yeah, it was about the best she could do.
Let's just err on the side of caution by restricting and rationing the constitutional rights of residents of the state of Virginia.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much it. And so you tell her, look, South Carolina repealed their law in 2004, and it has not increased crime in South Carolina. And since you can't tell us that it is stopping the illegal trafficking of firearms by criminals, why do we have the law?
I don't think they have an answer for that.
She didn't.
I mean, other than, well, we have it. It's a tool, Dave, that we can use. That's the thing. If you can't justify this law, and there's no evidence that this law has had any benefit in reducing the violent crime rate in Virginia or any other states. As you say, South Carolina got rid of their one-gun-a-month law in 2004. I remember they got rid of that law, I want to say, the same day that Cam and Company debuted on NRAnews.com, or at least within the first 2 days, because I remember the police chief down in Charleston, South Carolina, was quoted as saying, the bad, this didn't impact the crime rate one way or the other because this isn't how the bad guys are getting their guns.
That's exactly right. And, Dave Kopel has written articles that appeared in America's First Freedom that points out that it's the same with every handgun rationing law in the country, that they don't have an impact on crime. And in fact, he has research that shows that it has the opposite effect. So this is the best chance we're going to have and have had in 20 years with the change in leadership in the state Senate. And this is where our main focus is going to be for the next 60 days, is repealing this. And I urge every Virginia gun owner to contact their state senator, their member of the House of Delegates. The bill's not been introduced yet, but it will be.
Okay.
So as soon as the bill is introduced, it will be posted on the VSSA blog and on the VSSA website. And at that point, they need to contact legislators and urge them to support repeal of the law. The governor has said he would sign the law if it was placed on his desk. So this is our best chance, and we need to work it hard and make sure it comes to fruition.
All right. Now, I understand NRA ILA just put out an alert today on some of the bills that have already been introduced in both the House and the Senate, and it's a lengthy list, Dave. It sounds like it's going to be a busy year in Virginia.
Yeah, I tell you, when I checked it around lunchtime, they were still just running the legislation that had been pre-filed, but as is usually the case, once they come into session, Legislative Services just does a document dump. So I haven't seen the complete list since I left the office today. But, yeah, it's going to be fast and furious, if you'll excuse the pun.
And it sounds like there are some really interesting bills in addition to, I mean, when you guys talk about, a big session, it really does sound like it's going to be a big session. Besides the one gun a month law, looking at things like House Bill 139, which would provide that any person who may lawfully possess a firearm in Virginia may carry it hidden from common observation, retains the procedures to obtain a permit to carry for reciprocity. But we're talking constitutional carry for Virginia.
Yep.
That's huge, Dave.
Yeah, big. That's the first time that bill's been introduced, so it'll be interesting to see how that progresses. The House is not my concern. The Senate has still a little bit of concern because even though we have changed the leadership and we have a more conservative group of Republicans than we did in the last time Republicans controlled the Senate, there are still a couple of members that would be considered closer to the center than to the right of the spectrum. And so it's still going to require some work in the state Senate.
Okay. Now, what about, I'm looking at here at another bill, and this is not a good bill by any stretch of the imagination. House Bill 364 would prohibit private sales of firearms at gun shows. We've seen, variations of this bill introduced over the past couple of years. And we also know, thanks to the debate over this, I think in the last year or so, it's not about gun shows. It really is ultimately the goal of these folks to try to ban private sales of firearms altogether.
That's exactly right. They understand the concept of incrementalism, which is what one gun a month was. It was an incremental approach that they decided to take, and that's the same thing with going after gun shows. If they stop it at gun shows, then the next step is to stop the private sales altogether.
All right. So, again, Dave, how long does the session last here? 60 days?
This is the budget session, so it is a 60-day session, and things will move quickly. And so I urge everyone to check the VSSA website, myvssa.org, on a regular basis. And there's links to the blog. We actually will be updating the blog more regularly than the actual website itself, just because of the nature of the blog. So just click the link to the blog. We have an icon up on the right side of the page. Just click on that. That'll take you to the blog, and we'll be posting updates because, as you know, you can do a blog update from your phone or from the PC, so we can put it up there as soon as something happens.
All right. Dave, always a pleasure, sir. Thanks so much, and look forward to talking to you again quite a bit over the next 60 days.
It's going to be a great session.
I think you're right. Dave Adams joining us here on Cam & Company. It is 48 after the hour.